Sure.
All right, court is going to call 2024 CR 2338B State versus Mariano Rendon. Can I have parties announce?
Megan Gower and Jason Garahan for the state.
Larry Bloomquist for the defense.
And are you Mr. Rendon?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, are both parties ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, let's bring the jurors in.
Okay,
All right, if you'll restate your name for the record, please.
Tina Linda Jimenez.
All right, still under oath. Defense, you may proceed.
Thank you. Tina, I just had a couple quick questions for you. My first question is, were you there when Pablo exited the building?
As far as I can remember, yes.
Okay. And I think you testified that you guys just walked out and that nobody escorted you out. Is that correct?
Right, nobody was, that I can remember, nobody was holding Pablo. I know nobody was holding me.
Okay. And if there was somebody holding Pablo, was that possible that that did happen?
Could be.
Okay. And Pablo was wearing a brown shirt that evening, is that correct?
I don't recall.
Well, we saw him in the video yesterday and he was wearing a brown shirt. Is that accurate?
I would say yes.
Let me show you which have at this time just been marked for identification purposes. Defense exhibit 1, 2, and 3. They've not yet been admitted to evidence. But can you just look at those, and are those photographs of do you recognize the person in this photograph?
Yes, Pablo.
That's Pablo.
Yes,
And we see Pablo being in both state defense 1, 2, and 3.
yes.
Does that refresh your recollection
Okay.
about whether he walked out by himself or whether he was escorted out by security?
Okay, that refreshes my mind now.
Okay. And so the answer is yes, he was escorted out by security.
If it's on there, yes.
And then there was some conversations that we had about drinking. And I think you had said that he had had about 5 drinks in total, correct?
Exactly.
And the way that you were kind of portraying it was that Pablo was not intoxicated. Is that what you were trying to convey to the jury?
That is correct.
Okay. There was a conversation that you had with Mariano Rendon. Is that
Okay.
correct?
Correct.
And part of that conversation was you were seeking compensation for Pablo's injuries.
I don't recall that.
Okay. Did you ask that, basically telling him things like, well, you need to make this right, things like that?
Of course, because Pablo got hurt very bad.
During that conversation, isn't it true that you made, I'm going to read you a couple statements and just let me know if you made it,
Okay.
okay, or not. He had a little more to drink. It was his birthday. Did
I
you
don't
make that
recall
statement?
I don't recall.
Okay. Is it possible that you made that statement?
I don't recall.
Okay. Pablo was a little more drunk than normal because we had went to have dinner with all of our family and we had margaritas. Do you remember making that statement?
No, I don't recall.
Okay. But it's possible you made that
I
statement?
don't recall.
Okay. I can say Pablo had more to drink than normal.
I don't recall.
He drank and drank it for his birthday. Do you remember making that statement?
No,
You're saying you did not make that statement.
I don't recall making that statement.
Okay.
He drank and drank, no.
He had been drinking more than he was supposed to. My apologies. Did you make that
I don't
statement?
recall.
Okay. Judge, may
Yes.
I have some moments with her outside the presence of the jury?
Can I have parties approach?
Yes. How are the headphones connected? How do I connect them?
Deputy Laura, do you have the headphones for him?
Oh, okay.
And if there should be an outlet in your computer, I think.
You know, I'm going to play you 2 audio clips.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you afterwards whether that refreshes your recollection that you did make those statements, and you'll either admit or deny making those statements, okay?
Okay.
If you need to hear it more than once, I'm okay with that. Just let me know, okay?
Okay.
You hear it okay?
No, hear anything.
You don't hear anything?
Mm-mm.
Just let me know if you hear it now.
Loud. Okay, no,
Okay. He takes it. Was that able to refresh your recollection?
yes, yes,
Okay. And, okay, did that refresh your recollection?
yes,
Okay. So in fact, you did make the statement, he had a little more to drink. It was his birthday, correct?
yes, but not to the point to be intoxicated.
And then you did say, Pablo was a little more drunk than normal because we had went to our dinner with our family and we had margaritas, correct?
Which was one each,
But you did say he was a little bit more drunk than normal,
a
correct?
little bit,
I can say Pablo had more to drink than normal. You said made that statement as well, correct?
correct,
And then you said he drank and drank for his birthday, correct?
I said that, the normal 5,
He drank more than he was supposed to. My apologies. Did you make that statement?
yes, I did,
Okay. So you recall, this just kind of refresh your recollection and you do admit to making all of these statements.
I do,
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, State.
Yes. Do you remember during this 40-minute conversation that was recorded by the defendant, that was a phone call that you had with the defendant the next day?
that is correct, but I didn't know I was being recorded.
Okay. But to be fair, it was your voice on there and it was the defendant's voice.
That is correct,
And you recall the defendant saying, look, I know Pablo wasn't plastered drunk or anything.
right,
And,
correct,
and you did say Pablo had a little bit more to drink than normal.
correct,
And normal, he drinks how many?
3 to 4,
Okay, so and this night he had at least 5, well, we're saying around 5 or so.
5, yes,
Okay.
plus that one margarita we had.
All right. And, during this long conversation, and I know you probably don't remember it all, because have you ever heard that 40-minute phone conversation, the recording?
No, sir,
So you're just going off your memory right now?
yes.
And the
yes,
small portions that defense played for you?
Exactly,
Okay, so he did only played snippets of that whole conversation,
exactly, he did,
but it was a 40-minute conversation.
yes, it was,
And y'all spoke about many things about that night.
yes, sir, we sure did,
Spoke about the security guards taking your husband to the ground
yes,
and also beating on your husband,
yes,
and that your husband was pretty beat up.
absolutely, yes.
And this is before the surgery, though. This is the next day.
The next day, yes,
So he didn't have his surgery until several days later.
exactly, yes, sir,
So you were unaware that Pablo had a ruptured intestines.
that's correct.
So, well, let me ask you this. Were you aware that this man from that video had kneed your husband so violently in that video?
No,
So when you're speaking to him on this recorded conversation that he recorded without your knowledge, he didn't tell you at any time during this conversation that he used both his knees and jumped into your husband's stomach, did he?
no, he didn't,
You thought this was a friend trying to help you.
that's correct,
And then on top of that, in this conversation, he tells you Pablo will be charged with a felony.
that is correct,
Several times he tells you Pablo will be charged, you could be charged, the nephew can be charged, and also the nephew's girlfriend, did he not?
yes, sir, he did,
And then on top of that, he says, but look, you remember him saying this? Says, we want to de-escalate this. Let's not press charges.
yes, he sure did, plenty of times,
And so during this long conversation of him saying this, did he also say, I have every right, legal right to do whatever means it takes to dis-escalate the situation?
that is correct,
And then he also say, I do whatever it takes,
yes, he did,
do whatever means to get people out.
yes, that's correct.
Pass the witness.
I have no further questions for this witness.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
She can be excused, Your Honor.
All right, the rule has been invoked, so you are not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone except for attorneys for the state or the defense. Do you understand?
Yeah.
All right, you may step down. Don't forget to leave your microphone.
Thank you.
Your Honor, at this time, we'll call Jacqueline Reyes. I'll grab her.
If you could raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that the members of the jury can hear. If you could state your name for the record.
Jacqueline Reyes.
All right, you may proceed.
Judge, remember you approach briefly.
Yes. All right, defense, you may proceed.
Can you state your name for the record?
Jacqueline Reyes.
And Jacqueline, had you been employed as a bartender at El Volcan?
Yes.
And how long did you work at El Volcan?
About 8 years.
Okay. And do you have any family relationship to Mariano Rendon?
Yes.
And how are you related to him?
He's my father-in-law.
Okay. And describe your general duties as a bartender there at El Volcan.
Not over serving, making sure people are only getting the amount of liquor they're supposed to or beer,
Mhm.
and then cutting them off as soon as you see that they're too intoxicated.
Okay. And then just generally making drinks and serving them. Do you serve at the bar or do you serve outside the bar, just at the bar?
Just at the bar.
Okay. And then did you know Tina Jimenez and Pablo Rodriguez? Did you know them?
Yeah, they would come in every weekend.
Okay. So they were regulars, would you say?
Yes, I would serve them every weekend.
And do you know if they sat in a particular area of the bar when they would come in?
Yes.
And where was that at?
Closer to my bar by the kitchen.
Okay. And so were you the bartender that they would always go to purchase their drinks from?
Yes.
Okay, because you're right there as close to where they always sit in the same area, correct?
Yes.
So, I mean, over to the left, and how long have they been coming there?
I remember them probably about 6 years back.
6 years
I
back?
would be there every weekend.
So you would see them every week for about 6 years,
Yes.
plus or minus 1 or 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
During that period of time, what would they generally order when they would come into the bar?
They would order a couple beers, Modelos, and then they would switch off between Modelo and Bucana and Red Bull.
What is Bucana and Red Bull?
It's a whiskey.
Okay, Bucana's a whiskey.
Yes.
And then they would they sometimes buy the beer by the bucket
They would get them in pairs.
in pairs?
Mhm.
Okay. And were there times when had you ever had to cut Pablo off from drinking because he was overserved?
Objection. I'm gonna object to the form of the question and relevance as to previous.
The relevance was the state made an effort to show that they had drank very little on that occasion, and the fact that he was had been
All right,
seen.
that objection will be sustained.
Did you see? Were there times when you would see Pablo Rodriguez where you felt that he was intoxicated?
Yes, there was a couple of times where he would be really, really sweaty, more than
Object
usual.
To the question, if I object,
Could everyone please approach? All right, so just so you know, when any attorney makes an objection, just stop speaking because that means they want me to make a ruling on something.
So on the night, did you see Pablo Rodriguez and Tina Jimenez the night that this big fight occurred?
Yes.
And was that the last time that you saw them at the bar?
Yes.
Okay. And can you describe what you noticed about Pablo Rodriguez's demeanor that night?
He was a little more intoxicated than usual. He was really sweaty. His eyes were red, and he was a little tumbly. So I cut him off.
Okay. And then, and about how long, from the time that you cut him off to the time that the fight occurred, about how long had that been?
Maybe 30 minutes.
Okay. But as a bartender, one of the problems is that if I go and buy, let's say I come up to you and I buy 4 drinks, right? You can't control who might else hand somebody a beer or a drink, correct?
No,
Once I leave the bar, it's like you can't control who I'm giving those to.
correct.
And there are times when you may cut off a patron, but another patron may give them alcohol that you're unaware of. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, state.
Ms. Reyes, so you stated that the defendant is your father-in-law, is that correct?
Yes.
And about how long have you known him?
15 years.
Okay, and so I'm assuming you're married to his son, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you have children with his son?
2.
Okay. And so you've known him for 15 years, and you said you've been married or together with the son for how many years?
15.
Okay, and then you worked at Volcon for 8 years, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and the whole time that you've been employed at Volcon, were you a bartender?
No, I started off working the door
Okay.
and then I switched over to bartending.
And then you stated, well, I guess Volcán is closed currently, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and about how long ago did it close?
About 30 days, a little
Like
over.
a month ago,
Yeah.
maybe? And that was the location that's located at Ingram Road, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and it's a little up the street from Ingram Park Mall, correct?
Yes.
And that's located here in Bear County?
Yes.
Okay, and isn't it true that the defendant is opening a new Volcán at Randy's Ballroom on Bandera Road?
Yes.
Okay, and that's set to open this weekend, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and so in your duties as a bartender, well, I guess if we describe the atmosphere at Volcán, I mean, it's a place that people go to drink alcohol, correct, and
Mhm.
dance, right? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and so that's kind of the experience that you all seek to provide, right? A good time where people can drink alcohol and dance to cumbias and norteño music,
Yeah,
is that
safe
correct?
environment for them to have fun.
Okay, and just so the jury's aware, the cumbias and norteños is just a type of Spanish music, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that was predominantly what you all would play there at Volcán, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and so you stated that on the night of the incident, well, I guess you stated that you were familiar with Pablo and Tina, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and they were regulars of yours, correct?
Yes.
And you stated on the night of that you observed Pablo with red eyes, is that correct?
Yes.
Would it surprise you to know that a police officer that interacted with him a couple of maybe 30 minutes later didn't note those same observations?
Don't see how he didn't see that. His eyes were bright red.
Okay. And you stated that you cut Pablo off on that night, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. But you were at the bar when the fight happened, correct?
It was right after we closed down the bar.
Okay, so you didn't actually see what happened regarding the fight, is that correct?
No, I saw after the aftermath.
Okay, and I guess I kind of have a question because I'm kind of confused about how you guys, or the protocol about last call. So when we say last call, is that an announcement that's being made for people to go buy their last drink? Or can you explain that to me? please?
So we announce it on the microphone, that last call, they have 10 minutes to go get a last drink or finish their drink.
Okay,
And then we pull alcohol at 2.
okay, so then, if somebody chooses to go buy their last drink, they're expected to drink that within the last 10 minutes?
No, we give them about 5 minutes to finish.
Okay, just, I'm a little confused. So you announce last call, correct?
Mhm.
And that gives the patrons a choice to either buy their last beer or finish the drink that they currently have, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if if a patron was there and at last call, they decide, hey, I'm gonna go get my last beer, then how fast are they expected to drink that beer?
They need to have it done by at least 2:01. So we start telling them they need to finish it. So they need to go in the trash.
Okay, and so about how many minutes is that they're expected to drink their last drink if they were to buy it at the last call?
For 10 minutes.
In 10 minutes,
Mhm.
okay. That's pretty dangerous situation if you have somebody that's chugging a drink in 10 minutes. correct?
Objection relevance.
All right, that'll be sustained.
We pass the witness, Your Honor.
You said that you saw the aftermath of the fight. Did you see people that worked at the bar that were injured?
Yes.
And who did you see that was injured?
Calvin and Anthony.
And I just want to talk about your observations. What did you observe about Anthony?
Anthony was all red. All his equipment was taken off. And he looked like he got scratched up a little bit. He was red.
What did you notice about Calvin?
Calvin was holding his shoulder. They threw him on the floor and he said that he was hurting really bad.
I'll pass witness.
All right, any further questions?
Just briefly, Your Honor. Does Volcan have cameras inside?
Yes.
Okay. And in your experience in working there, are the cameras usually in good working order?
Not all the time.
Okay. And so since you work there, can you tell me where the cameras are located?
I don't know where all of them are located. I just know where a few are.
Okay, go ahead and tell me where the few that you remember are located.
The entrance and the front door.
Okay.
By one of the bars and outside.
Okay. Have you reviewed any footage in preparation for your testimony?
No,
So if there's a camera by the bar, would that have captured you cutting Pablo off?
no,
And why is that?
because I'm in the back bar.
Okay, so you're saying there's no camera by where you're at?
No.
Okay. Would it surprise you to know that the defendant, when asked to provide video footage for this case, stated that the internet had been down on the night of the offense?
Can you ask that again?
I'm gonna object. This is misleading. I mean, I think they've already been testimony that Mr. Rendon provided video to the state, and the state has actually already admitted that into evidence. So I think that question is trying to mislead the jury.
All right, that'll be overruled. You can ask the question.
Were you aware that when the defendant was initially asked to provide video footage of what happened in Volcan that night, he stated that he wouldn't be able to do that because the internet was down on that night?
Yes.
It would surprise you.
No, it usually goes down. We have a lot of internet issues.
Okay. Now, there has been some footage entered, and would it surprise you that other people that were in the bar were walking out and were stumbly and had red eyes and had the same descriptors that you described earlier?
No.
No, so usually people that go there, they drink to a level of where they're swaying and
No, we cut them off before then.
okay, so if there's people that are on the surveillance video stumbling out and have red eyes and stuff, that's a surprise to you?
Yes.
Okay, so you're saying about how many people did you cut off the night of the offense?
Just Pablo and one other person.
Okay, and on any other nights, how many people would you typically cut off?
A lot of people usually handle their liquor, so I don't have to cut them off very often.
Okay. Do you know what the legal definition of intoxication is?
Yeah, objection relevance.
That'll be overruled. You can answer either yes or no.
Yes.
What is it?
They're tumbling, they're slurring their words, they have red eyes, they're just sometimes they get angry, sometimes they don't.
Okay, and is that, I guess, what you found in your training and experience?
Yes.
Will you pass the witness, Your Honor?
I have nothing further for this witness.
All right, is this witness excused or subject to recall?
Excused from the defense.
Excuse.
All right, the rule that's been invoked, you're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone except for attorneys for the state of defense. If you remove your microphone. All right, all right. All right, can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that members of the jury can hear. If you'll state your name for the record, please.
So Chris Bienwell.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you. Chris, I want to, first of all, let me ask you this. Did you work last night?
Yes, sir.
What's your shift that you worked last night?
Third shift. I work overnights.
Okay, and what time does third shift start?
I started at 11 p.m. I got off at 6 o'clock this morning.
Okay. And so this would be a time that you would normally be sleeping. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And where do you work at, Chris?
Retired right now at IFCO.
And what do you do for them?
I do labor work, load, it's a warehouse. I do loading, unloading.
Okay, and how long have you been there?
Like few weeks, month,
Okay.
maybe.
And did you used to work at El Volcan?
Yes, sir.
And how long did you work there?
since 2021.
Okay. And what would, how many shifts would you do there per week on an average?
Well, it changed from time to time.
Okay,
Like, there was a time when I was full-time worker, and then there was a time when I was just worked the weekend. That was it.
okay. And what about in August of 2023? What were your general working hours during that time?
Um, Definitely worked the weekend. I for sure always caught every weekend. Every Saturday was the main day. That there was a lot of people, and there we had to go.
Okay.
All the employees had to be there.
And what was your general duties there when you were working there in August of 2023?
I was a parking attendant, and after I closed down parking, I would go inside and I would do portering.
Okay. And what does a porter do?
I pick up empty bottles and throw them away, or once it's past time for there to be no more alcohol, we'll go and tell people it's time to throw their alcohol away,
Okay.
and we'll
And so there's like several porters doing that at a last call. So there's you and other porters that are actually going out to collect the alcohol.
if we have some hired at the time, yes,
Yep.
or security will go around also
Okay.
to help us.
And I want to turn your attention back to the night was August 19th and into the early mornings of August 20th, but we're really talking about the early hours of August 20th. So like around 2 o'clock in the morning at last call. On that day, what were you doing in the bar? You'd already finished your parking, correct? And you had gone in to begin doing the porter work. And tell me about last call on that day when the fight broke out.
I was going around and with the security officer with Anthony, and we were throwing away empty bottles and telling people that it was time to throw their alcohol drinks away, and people would have to throw it away.
Okay. And at some
Past
point,
time.
did you become aware of a disturbance that occurred?
Yes, Anthony told a security guard. He took one guy that there was past time for his drink, and he had to throw it away. And then he refused, and he jerked back away, and Anthony tried to reach for it, and then they began to like argue over the drink, and then they began tussling over it.
Was Anthony called over there, or was he there when they first to get the drink from the gentleman?
No, we were walking together
Okay.
to go around, throw away drinks. So he was already there. He was just another person that were telling
Okay.
that it was past time and they needed to throw their drinks away.
And at some point, did they get in kind of a tug of war over the drink?
Yes, and then it led to the dance floor, like deeper into the dance floor, and then the guy's friends went and they all jumped on Anthony.
Okay. And to be fair, you didn't know who this person was. You didn't know his name or who this person was that was not giving up their beer. Is that fair to say?
No,
And
I don't know him.
if his name is Pablo Rodriguez, if he testified that he had one extra drink and threw it away, is that accurate?
No, he didn't throw it away because he was fighting with Anthony, the security guard, over the drink.
Okay. And at some point when he started to struggle with Anthony over the drink, what happened after that? I mean, what did that man do after that?
They started struggling over the drink, and they led deeper into the dance floor, and then they went around some people, and so I couldn't really see right away, but then the guy's friends went to go help, but once I did get around the people, because there's usually a lot of people in there, so it's hard to
Sure.
get around or see very well. But once I got around the people and I saw them, I saw all I could see was Anthony's legs sticking out, and he had 3 guys on top of him.
Okay, so Anthony was on the ground and there were three men on top of him. Is that correct?
So,
And at that time, do you know if Anthony had a gun on him?
yeah, he carries a gun. He's
Okay.
security guard that carries a gun.
And did you feel it was a dangerous situation for Anthony, who's armed, to be on the ground with three men on top of him?
Objection, speculation, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Well, I mean, he can talk if that was one of his concerns. Was it one of your concerns?
Objection, speculation, Your Honor.
No, it's his personal
That,
feelings.
the objection will be overruled.
Did you have concern about that
About him being on the ground.
with the gun? Yeah.
With the gun. Just him being on the ground with three guys on top of him, I had a lot of concern for
Okay.
him, just his safety and everything, yeah.
And these three guys, what were they doing to Anthony?
I couldn't really see what they were doing to him because they were on top of him. All I could see was his legs sticking out. So
Okay.
I went over there to try to help him.
And what did you do to try to help him?
I was trying to hit that guy's friends back and I was trying to keep them back and I was trying to let Anthony, the security guard, and that one guy have their one-on-one rather than him having all these people jump on him.
Okay.
So I was trying to keep that guy's friends all back
Were you-
from.
Were you able to do that?
I was trying, and me and my coworker, we were both trying to keep them back, but they kept pushing through us and going around us and jumping on Anthony once again and all teaming up on him. And this went on for a while.
It went on for quite a while.
Yeah.
And then there was a female involved as well. Can you tell me what she was doing?
She wasn't jumping on Anthony at that time, at least that I saw, but she was like she was trying to push us because we're trying to keep the other guys back. So she was pushing us and yelling, and she was yelling at us and stuff.
And she laid hands on you?
Yeah, she pushed me a few times.
Okay.
Because I was trying to keep the other guys back away. But I didn't touch her at all. I just let her push me. I was mainly focused on the men. But
Okay.
I mean, I am a small guy. I'm only 130 pounds, so I can, people can push me around.
And who was your coworker that was trying to help keep these people off of Anthony?
My coworker was Calvin. He was also another porter, and we were both trying to keep the guy's friend back.
At some time, did you see that Calvin had gotten knocked down?
I didn't see him get knocked down, but he was trying to help. But at one time, eventually he did get hurt, and he couldn't help anymore.
Okay, and then just kind of on a scale, okay? So when we're talking about this fight that's going on, okay, 10 is full WWE melee where it's just carnage, everybody's fighting like crazy, it's life or death struggle, and 1 is just a little touch. Where are we at in this spectrum of the intensity of this fight that was going on?
It was like a wrestling match, they were going at it. They were wrestling back and forth. They were on the ground, back up to their feet, back on the ground. They were all jumping on Anthony, the security guard again, and then, we were trying to help him, and he'll get back to his feet, and then they were all jumping on him again.
And would you consider this an intense fight that was going on?
I mean, they were all teaming up on him, so I thought it definitely wasn't fair. So that's why I was trying to keep the guy's friends back and let him just have his one-on-one with the main guy.
And were you concerned for Anthony's safety?
Yes, especially when he had, the times when we couldn't help him because they were overpowering us and they were all just on top of him or just like, dragging him around or whatever, slamming him and stuff.
Were you concerned for your safety?
Well, kind of. I thought maybe they would start trying to hit me or something, you know, I was concerned for my safety, but they were mostly focused on Anthony. It seemed like for some reason they were just kept trying to go after him.
And at some point, JR comes over to help. Is that correct?
Yes.
And tell me, what does JR do that you saw?
Like, you know, later on in the fight, you know, my coworker, Calvin was hurt. You know, I was tired, and once again, Anthony was on the floor, and he had all three of the guys on top of him, and I was looking around for help because I mean, you know, none of the other security guards had came yet, and then that's when JR and another security guard showed up, and they got the guy, and they picked him up, and the guy's friends, when they showed up, the guy's friends backed off, and they got the main guy, and they picked him up, and the security guard walked him out.
And so, did you believe that JR's purpose was trying to stop this fight from occurring?
Check speculation, huh?
Sustained.
Yes, definitely.
Excuse me,
That's fine.
I sustained the objection. You're not allowed to answer.
Yeah, if there's ever an objection, she'll just, if one of us says objection, just wait. And then she'll make a ruling, and then if we're allowed to ask a question, we'll just ask it again. Okay. After the fight, did you see that Anthony was injured at all?
Yes, he was pretty injured and exhausted, and you know, he had been back and forth, you know, hitting the floor, and he said one of the guys had a.
Don't tell me what someone else said, okay? We can't talk about what other people say. That's what we call hearsay. So you don't need to say that.
Well, he had his hat and his baton and his radio missing, so we're trying to help him find this stuff afterwards.
Were you able to find any of his stuff?
No, didn't find none of the stuff.
And did you see who ripped his radio off?
I saw him at one point during the whole wrestling match having a tug of war over his radio with the main guy that he first asked to throw the drink away.
And what about Calvin? Did you see that Calvin was injured after the fight?
Yes, he was.
Can you describe what injuries Calvin had?
I'm not too sure exactly.
Okay.
I just know that he said he was hurt.
Okay. And it was clear to you that from observing him that he was in pain?
Yeah, I think his back or his shoulder or something like that.
I'll pass witness.
Great state.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch your full name. Was it Christopher Villanueva?
Christopher Villanueva.
Okay. And what's your date of birth, sir?
It's May 25, 87.
And I'm sorry, can you just move that microphone a little bit closer, if you don't mind? I'm sort of hard to hear, so if you don't mind, if you just give me this one right here. Yeah, so you can move it closer to you if you like. That way I can hear. Now you stated, I think earlier that you worked at Joe's Volcano for a number of years, is that correct?
Since 2021.
2021? And so you know Moreno Rendon,
Yes, sir.
JR. You just have to answer out loud, sir, sorry.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
And I mean, you worked for him that whole time, is that right?
Yes, sir. For him and Esmeralda and the family.
His wife, right?
Yes.
Okay. And they're the ones that run Joe's Volcano. Since then, it's closed down about a month ago, we heard, is that right?
Yes, I was working there up until March, the end of March, I believe.
And we heard also with testimony that it's gonna reopen at Randy's Ballroom, right?
Possibly. I don't know all the facts of everything.
sorry?
But I don't know like all the facts on that and everything, but I'm hoping so. You know,
You're hoping so?
hopefully. I don't know.
I mean, because you would probably go work there again.
Possibly.
And so let's talk about this night. I mean, Mr. Blucas was asking you some questions about, like, say, injuries. And in the description you gave of this fight of up and down, up and down. And then you spoke about three guys on top of Anthony. And how were they on top of it? Like they were all like packed on top of each other? Like, or some on his head, some on his feet? How were they on top of him?
Yeah, like on the side, the head, the shoulder, like all I could see is legs. And the first time that they were all on top of him, but it happened, several times,
Okay.
as it went on.
And so, I mean, this was, as you said, and tell me if I'm wrong, this was an intense fight.
Well, it was a wrestling match, I would say mostly.
Wrestling mostly? So
There was
there was no punching.
I didn't see punching, but
So this whole time you're there, and you're there from the beginning of this fight to the end of the fight, you saw no punching.
well, there was times when they were all on top of him. I couldn't see what they were doing to him,
I'm
and
sorry.
there was times that they were all on top of him, and I couldn't see what they were doing to him. So I was really worried about his safety and what they were doing to him. And I heard that he got punched.
You heard that.
Well, that's what he said, but
Who said that?
Anthony said that they
Anthony
punched
said that.
him.
I mean, you spoke to Anthony after this fight, right?
Yes.
You
well,
spoke to Anthony recently, haven't you?
No, not well. Right after the fight happened, I was helping him look for his stuff.
So you talked to him right after, then you never talked to him again.
Well, yeah, he worked there still for a while, and I talked to him a little bit,
Okay.
But right after the everything happened, where I was helping him look for his stuff, and he was exhausted, he was tired, he was hurt, and from hitting the floor so many times, and people pushing him and pulling him and getting on top of him and grabbing him, all that stuff. And he had said that he got punched in the face, and also so
And so wait, you just said he got punched in the face.
that's what Anthony said.
Okay, but again, you didn't see any punching the whole time.
I didn't see it.
Okay, you just
was-
heard that
it-
from somebody else.
It was more like from what I saw, it looked more like a big wrestling match.
So just a wrestling match you saw. Now, and you testified that you're fearful of his safety, is that right?
Yeah, well, yes, when you have three guys on top of you, and he was laid flat on the floor, and all I could see his legs, so I was worried about what they were doing to him,
So
what was happening.
you try to help out, but you said you're a small guy, you're about my size, not that big, right?
I'm not very big. I'm 130 pounds.
Probably a little heavier, but the fact is that you stood by and watched the whole thing happen though, right?
I was trying to keep the guys' friends away, but they kept powering through, and I tried, but they kept, powering through and getting around me and continued to jump on Anthony, the security guard.
All these guys are just beating on and jumping on and wrestling and tugging and pushing Anthony the whole time. We got that. That's what your testimony would be, right? Is that correct?
Say it again.
All these guys, three, was there more than three? Was there five? How many?
What I remember is 3 guys and 1 girl. That's from what I remember, but
Okay, so
I
three
mean,
guys and one
there
girl.
was a lot of people around,
So there's a lot of people around.
Well, it's a
can we
club. There's a
approach
lot of
briefly?
people in the club,
Yes. I guess let me just I want to clarify this. So you're saying 3 guys and a girl were involved in this, and that's it.
from what I remember.
What you remember. And look, all I want is what you remember, okay?
Yes,
Not what
sir.
somebody else told you, but what you remember. Because, I mean, to be fair, you spoke with Anthony Cochran, which is the security guard, after this happened, right?
A little bit.
Okay, and then you also spoke with Mariano, Rendon, the defendant in this case, about after it happened, right?
I kept working there, but we didn't speak too much about it. Like, I would only see him at work, and then we were always real busy at work.
Okay, so I guess my question is, you never spoke to JR about this incident at all?
Little bit, but not like a lot. Not really. I didn't even know that there was still like this was still an issue. I mean, it happened so long ago.
Okay,
I don't.
all right. So through all this incident that happens, is what we call, let's just call it a fight. You state that you were standing there, at least trying to help, or at least watching everything that happened.
I was trying to keep the guy's friends back.
But off of Anthony, right?
Yes.
So you, during this whole fight, you were focused on Anthony. Is that correct?
I was trying to keep that guy's friends back.
And I understand that, sir. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
That's what me and my coworker were doing, just trying to keep the guy's friends back as much as we could. But there was times we were able to a little bit, but there was times they got through us, and it wasn't until later on that JR and another security guard came to help, and I felt very relieved because I was very worried about Anthony and what was gonna happen to him, or.
Okay. Okay. And you say this went on for a while. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How long? Like 5 minutes?
I don't know. I don't know how long. It just went on for a while.
So you don't know a time limit?
I'm not sure,
Just
sir.
I'm sorry, you just have to answer out loud for the court reporter, okay?
I don't know exact time limit, sir. I just know it went on for a good while to where I was tired, and trying to hold people back and.
And so, again, my question simply is, during this whole time that this fight is happening, you're focused on Anthony because you were worried about his safety.
I was worried about Anthony's safety.
So that's a yes?
I was worried about Anthony's safety, but also worried about, I guess, everybody else's safety if they got a hold of his gun or something, because he did have a gun on him. And he was a security guard, and he was only by himself. And I was wondering where all the rest of the security guards were, and why he was by himself, having, all these guys, team up on him.
Okay. So when you saw JR arrive, that's your boss, right?
That's my boss, yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And when he arrives, he starts pushing people around. Is that right?
No, he just went. Him and the security guard went, and they got the guy, and they picked him up. But the guy's friends backed off once they came, so they just got that one guy and picked him up, and then the security guard walked him out.
So again, you're watching JR there, and they get all the friends back, the other security guards there, Anthony's there. Is this when Anthony is on top of that guy?
Anthony was on the floor, and he had 3 guys on top of him when JR showed up with the other security guard.
Okay, let's talk about right after that.
Me and my coworker were standing there, looking around for help. My coworker's hurt. I was tired. We were looking around for help, and Anthony's on the floor. He's got 3 guys on top of him. That's when JR and another security guard show up.
Okay, and I'm not going to interrupt you anymore. But what I'm going to ask you is if you just answer my question, okay? My question is, after the 3 guys that you say were on top of Anthony were removed, they were taken off, right? And pushed to the side, is that right?
No, well, when JR and security guard came, they got the guy, the main guy, and the guy's friends backed off. when they saw JR and security guard show up, the guy's friends, they backed up.
Backed away. Where was that guy?
The guys at least. The girl, she wanted to argue and yell at everybody and stuff. And then the guys, they came back too, I believe, and started arguing too and stuff. So they backed up for a second, but then they came back to argue and this and that, you know.
Again. When the people were backed off, where was Anthony?
Well, he had 3 guys on top of him, and JR showed up, got the one guy to pick him up, and then that's when the guy's friends started to back off, and then Anthony was getting back to his feet.
Okay, so when JR shows up, people back off. They pick up the guy right away and escort him out.
JR showed up with another security guard, and they picked the guy up, and the security guard walked him out.
And you stood there the whole time and watched all that.
Yes.
So when was it that you saw this man over here use both knees and jump into the man on the ground's stomach? When did you see that?
I didn't see
You
that.
didn't see that, but you were there the whole time.
I was there, but I mean, can only, see so much. I don't know.
Okay, I'm
I
gonna show you
didn't,
what's
I didn't,
I'm
I
gonna show you
didn't.
what's Mark State Exhibit number 2. And that's what can you look at the big screen up there? It might be easier for you to see. I know that one has a glare down there. This is already in evidence. I'm gonna go ahead and play it for you, okay? Okay, where are you at?
I don't know. I can't even barely see what's going on in there.
I'm sorry, you gotta speak up and.
I don't know. I can't barely see what's going on in there.
Okay, Your Honor, we may have to, I'm gonna play it again for him since.
It's probably Anthony and the guy.
Where are the other people?
Well, where's the rest of the video?
Well, I'll play the rest of the video, but I'm just asking you.
All the video, everything that happened before that.
This is the only video we have. Is there other videos?
Well, why wouldn't y'all show the whole video of when they were all jumping on him before?
Have you seen that video?
Well, obviously they're not showing it.
No, I'm asking you. Have you seen that video?
It would be before this.
I'm asking you. Have you seen a video of everybody
I
jumping on
haven't
him?
seen any videos.
Sorry?
I haven't seen any videos.
You haven't seen
This is
any
my
videos?
first time watching this.
Okay. Where are you at? Where are you standing at when this is going on?
I'm not sure, sir. I can't really see everybody that's there, but I'm sure I'm around there, standing around
Okay,
somewhere.
we'll go ahead and play the rest of it for you, okay? Who's that to the right?
Okay,
I'm sorry?
that's probably me, but you can't really tell.
It's probably you.
Can't really see who it is or anybody is really.
But that's what you were wearing that night, is that right?
Possibly.
Possibly.
It looks like me. But if I didn't see everything that happened, like I didn't see what you're trying to tell me that I saw. I mean, if I didn't see it, I didn't see it, I'm telling you what I saw and what I didn't see.
But that's you standing in the video, in state exhibit number 2, isn't that correct?
Probably. You can't tell, you can't see
Okay.
who that is in the video.
Okay. And you stated after this, oh, Judge, we're gonna ask that enter state exhibit number 21. Senator defense.
No objection.
All right, state's exhibit number 21 is admitted without objection.
Hey, just publish it, I'll hand it to you.
Well, can I see
Publish it.
what you're showing
Yes,
us?
sir. Yes. State exhibit number 21, yes, sir,
Just in the entrance door or the exit door?
that's correct. In fact, this is the entrance of,
Standing. That's the entrance, the exit, they're right next to each other.
right, of Joe's Volcano. That night.
Okay.
You have your arm outreached. Why do you have your arm outreached? Do you know?
Huh? I'm probably opening the door for somebody. I don't know.
What if I asked you, well, let me ask you this. Did you hand anything back to Anthony Cochran?
And anything to him?
You didn't hand his badge back to him?
Not that I remember.
Now, did you talk to Anthony like you stated previously?
Not previously. I mean, not recently.
Not recently, but that night, you said that he was really just worn out or something after this fight. Is that right?
He was worn out.
Yes.
He was tired. He was hurt.
And you stated that, you try to help him find stuff. Is that right? Like his radio, because you said that his radio was being tugged on. And a tug of war was over his radio also. Do you remember that?
I said that at one point I seen him having a tug of war over his radio with
Right.
the main guy. And after the end of everything, not only me but everybody, the coworkers, we were all trying to help Anthony find his stuff.
Okay.
He was missing a baton, he was missing his radio, and he was missing his hat, his own personal like a cowboy hat. I guess it was expensive, I'm not sure, but he seemed pretty upset about it.
So do you remember finding something of his or giving it back to him? Because earlier you said you didn't find anything.
I don't remember. Where's Anthony? Does that
I'm just asking you, is that you?
Again, can I move to see the exhibit?
Yes, you can move around.
well, why don't you show everybody what you're showing me?
I'm asking you, is that you?
Well,
Yes
I
or
think
no?
you should show everybody what you're showing me.
Just asking, is this you?
It's just a person standing there at the exit door with their hand out holding something. But whether I was given that, I don't know who was given
Sir.
was given that.
If you can just answer my question, is that you?
Well, I think you should show it to everybody.
Again, I'll try to ask one more time. Is this you?
Well, show everybody what you want me to tell.
Judge Kim,
Yes,
can I just-
excuse me, sir. Questions are being asked. You need to answer the question. Do you understand?
I understand.
Do you understand the last question?
I understand it's
All right, state, ask your question again and you will answer the question. Do you understand?
just this
On this-
person
on-
standing there holding something
is
at the
that
exit door.
you?
It looks like me.
That's good enough. Here, I'm gonna play this video for you.
Okay,
Pause this video.
but does that mean that, what does that mean? That I don't know what time that was. I mean, when I was giving that to him.
All right,
don't
ladies
know.
and gentlemen, I'm gonna have you step outside just for a few minutes and I'll just have you in the hallway. Please remember my previous instructions. All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, I'm gonna explain something to you and I want you to internalize what I'm saying and listen to what I'm saying. Do you understand?
Okay,
You need to say yes or no. Do you understand?
you want me to listen to you?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So this is the way the legal process works. Sometimes maybe people don't understand the legal process because maybe this is your first time being a witness. I don't know. But this is what's going to end up happening. The defense will ask you questions. You will answer his questions. That's Mr. Bloomquist. The state is currently asking you questions. That's Mr. Garehand. You're going to listen to the question and you're going to answer the question that's asked of you. Do you understand? There is not to be any of this Well, why don't you show the jury? Well, why don't you do that? Because that question has not been asked of you. Do you understand? So you're gonna answer the questions that are asked of you. Do you understand?
Okay.
All right, let's bring the jurors back in. All right, so we're gonna take 5 minutes, everyone. All right, everyone, please be seated. State, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. And I'll again ask you, one, is this you?
Okay. It looks like he's I'm handing Anthony a badge, but I don't know what day this is. I don't know what time this is. I mean, you're showing me a video. I mean, I was there like almost 4 years, and this could be any time.
Okay.
I don't know where you're getting this video.
You're
I don't
saying
know.
that you don't know if this is the night that this incident happened. Is that what you're saying?
This is an entrance. This is the video of the entrance door
Okay. But
of the
your,
exit
your
entrance.
testimony is you don't know if this is the
I
night
don't
that
know
happened.
I don't know what this video. This is the same video. I don't know from the same day or the same night. I don't know. But what does it matter if I'm handing him a badge? I mean, what is that
Excuse me,
supposed
sir.
to?
Yeah, just responding, please.
I guess,
Are to listen to the questions that are being asked of you and answer those questions. Do you understand?
Yeah.
You may proceed.
the reason I'm asking you that question is that you stated in early testimony that Anthony Cochran had lost several items and none of these items were returned to him and you couldn't find any of those items. That's why I'm asking you that question, sir.
I
But
said,
in this video, you are handing him a badge to Anthony Cochran on the doorstep of the exit of Joe's Volcano. Is that accurate?
I said he lost a hat, baton, and a radio that we were looking for. A badge, I don't remember a badge, but it's possible. I mean, it could have been his badge too. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't a main thing that I remember looking for. The main thing I remember looking for was his hat, his baton, and his radio.
Now let's, in reference to state exhibit number 2, the video that we have watched and the jury, it's in evidence. That is you standing there watching everything unfold. Is that correct?
I don't know. Can't see who that is in that video.
Who else would that be?
I don't know. There's a lot of people in that club.
We're gonna play state exhibit number 2. Is that, sir?
I don't know.
You don't know what that is?
No, sir.
It looks like a hat, doesn't it?
Possibly. Could be anybody's hat. A lot of people wear hats in there.
So is it a hat or not a hat?
Possibly. I don't know. I can't tell what it is.
And what's next to the hat? It looks like a radio to me. What does it look like to
Again,
you?
objection, objection. He's calls for speculation. He's testified he doesn't know.
All right, with regards to that objection, it will be overruled.
Does that look like a radio to you or not?
I don't know.
Person still on the ground, is that right?
I don't know. I can't see.
Can't see it. I mean, but you said that when JR got there, everybody moved back, they picked up the guy and took him straight outside, is that right?
Say it again.
You're saying that when JL got there with the other security guard, everybody got moved back. Anthony and the other security guards picked the guy up and they walked him outside. That's what your testimony was. Is that
I
correct?
said when JR got there with another security guard, that Anthony was on the floor, had 3 guys on top of him. This is not a video of when JR first got there. This is already a little bit after. That's what I'm saying. Where's the rest of the video? And where's all the video that's of when they were all jumping on Anthony? And they edited the video. They're only showing you the end part.
So when JR got there, you're there, right?
When JR got there with the security guard, Anthony was on the floor with 3 guys on top of him that I remember.
Okay.
that correctly.
So you're there, and JR arrives, you stay at this incident, this fight, you're watching it the whole time. Correct?
I'm an objection asked and answered.
Overruled.
You can answer the question, sir.
I was there with Anthony when it started, and I was there to the end, but I mean, I didn't see everything. I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, and plus I was trying to keep the guy's friends back from jumping on Anthony. So, I mean, I didn't want to turn my back to them. So there's a lot of things I saw, a lot of things I missed. I can't see everything.
I agree with that, and I understand that, and I'm not trying to make you see everything, I'm just trying to find out for this jury what you actually saw.
I'm telling you
Because
what I
you
saw.
testified earlier that somebody told you there was a punch, but you didn't see any punches. And then also, you're talking about people jumping on people, but in this video, you only see one person jump on anybody. You saw JR jump with both knees into the victim's stomach. Did you see that on that video?
I'm telling you, this is not the rest of the video. There's a lot of video that's before this that you're not showing.
Thank you for that. However, I'm asking you a different question. Did you see JR with his knees jump into the victim's stomach? Yes or no, sir?
I didn't
Just a yes or
see
no.
I didn't see nobody knee anybody or anybody hit anybody.
State exhibit number 2. Watch it one more time, sir. Please just watch it and tell me if you see JR with his knees into the victim's
I'm telling
stomach.
you what I saw that night.
I'm asking you what, I'm
not.
asking you if you see it on the video.
Why do I need to watch a video when I was there
I
that night?
object, Your Honor. Whether what he sees in the video speaks for himself. He's testifying about what he saw that night. What he sees in the video, what anybody sees in the video speaks for itself.
All right, that objection is overruled.
We're gonna we'll play state exhibit number 2 for you one more time, sir. Please pay attention here. Okay. Question is, did you see JR with both his knees go into the stomach of that person laying on the ground? Yes or no, sir?
I'm telling you what I saw that night, and I didn't see nobody knee anybody. And that's what I'm sticking to. So I'm only telling you what I saw that night,
I understand. Thank you.
not what I seen anywhere else. What is this?
I'm asking you to look at it, sir. This is you, correct?
Good.
This is the judgment on your case where you were convicted. You recall that?
What do I have to do with anything?
I'm just asking you, were you convicted of an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon? That happened in 2010, and you were convicted
2010.
right here, sir. The offense date is May 27th, 2010. And you were convicted on January 30th, 2012. You recall that?
Of an assault.
Aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
I think they dropped the weapon or the ag or something. I don't know.
You see what it says on here, is that correct?
But I do have an assault charge from 2010, but I mean,
And-
so what?
Did you serve time for that, sir?
I served time.
How many years?
I did 4 years and I got out on parole. And I completed my parole and I,
That is correct, sir. You are a convicted felon, is that right?
from a long time ago, it's been what, 15 years? I don't know.
And let me ask you, sir. The radio tug of war that you stated, that didn't really happen, did it?
It's what I saw. I saw Anthony and the guy having a tug of war over his radio at one point.
So your testimony is there's a tug of war over a beer bottle, there's a tug of war over a radio, and that the security guard had a gun on him, but there was no tug of war over the gun, right?
Not that I saw.
Not that you saw. But you didn't see any person's hand on that gun, did you?
I didn't see that, but like I said, he's had 3 guys on top of him at one time. I couldn't see what they were doing to him.
But again, my question
And
is
I
that
didn't
you didn't-
see everything. You know, anything could have happened that I missed, you know. I turned my back and a lot of times, you know, there was a lot of people in there.
And you stated that Anthony was, I mean, after this fight, you said, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, that Anthony, was he hurt?
He seemed hurt.
Where at?
Well, he was tired and, you know, like limping a little bit, and he said he had been hit in the face, punched in the face.
He said that.
That's what he said.
Okay. But you talked to him that night. You saw him after the fight, right?
I saw him after everything,
And he was walking around.
walking around. He was
Walking obviously through the
exhausted, seemed
entrance of-
kind of hurt, but he was like, okay, I guess he was still alive. Everybody else is still alive. Thank God.
So everybody's alive, thank God.
I don't know.
You're aware though, in this case, it's aggravated assault causing serious bodily injury of an individual. You're aware of the charges. Do you understand that?
I don't know everything about this case.
So you're not aware that the person that was kneed in the stomach, And-
Objection relevance. He's here to testify about what he saw that night,
All right,
his knowledge of everything
let
else.
me hear
is-
the question and then I'll hear
Alright.
your objection and make a ruling.
that an individual was kneed in the stomach and there was tears in his large intestines.
All right, so just one moment before you answer that.
Again, my objection is his knowledge of the case outside of what he saw that night is irrelevant.
All right, the objection will be sustained.
Did you see the named victim in this case after everything happened?
Can you say it again?
Did you see the person that was on the ground in this video? Did you see him after this fight, this incident?
The one that was fighting with Anthony?
Mm-hmm.
Did I see him after? Not really. I mean, I don't know. I just saw him, you know, get up, get walked out by the security guard, and I never saw him again after that. I don't know.
You never testified earlier that Anthony was ever on top of the person. You never testified to that.
Possibly, I don't know. There was it was a wrestling match that went on for quite a while. Sometimes you know, they were rolling around the floor and you know, I don't know. I mean,
Possibly.
I mean it you know, it's a wrestling match, you know, they're rolling around. I mean, sometimes one person might be on top, sometimes another person might be on top. But the thing is that it was 3 guys on 1 security guard, and you know, and it was really unfair, you know. It was unfair for Anthony.
Who is on top of that guy?
Can't see who that is, but this is at the end of the video. I mean, this is at the end of the incident.
So this is at the end, right? So.
Probably if JR is there, because JR
Under control at
came
that time,
towards
is
the
that
end.
right?
Not, well, obviously it's still kind of going on a little bit.
Okay,
It's not all the way under control.
there's one guy on top of another guy in this video, is that right?
That's what it looks like.
You're standing there watching it, JR's there, right? Correct?
I'm around there. I don't know if I'm watching that exactly at that moment. I don't know. I could be looking somewhere else. I mean, I can't see everything.
I understand that. So, and then JR, this is when JR then knees the guy in the stomach, correct?
I don't know.
You don't know. You saw the video though, correct?
I'm only telling what I seen that night,
Okay,
and I didn't see anybody knee anybody.
we'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right.
And to be fair, this happened in August 20th of 2023. Is it your memory probably back in August of 2023 would have been better than it is today? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, so it was a long time ago.
Okay, may I approach?
Yes.
You did see Anthony that night, correct? Let me show some photos of Anthony. I'm gonna show you defendants exhibit, what's been marked as defendants exhibit 4 and 5. Do you recognize the person in the photograph?
Like Anthony.
Okay, and is that how Anthony appeared on the night of August 20th of 2023?
Yes, I remember he had said he got hit in the face. I remember his cheek was red, and I didn't see clearly everything that happened, but
But that appears to be the way that he looked when you saw him on that evening, correct?
yeah,
And that's an accurate
had a-
representation of him.
he had a mark, and
All right. Your Honor, at this time, I'll tender defendants exhibit 4 and 5 to the state and move to admit defendants exhibit 4 and 5.
No objection from the state, Your Honor.
All right, defense exhibits 4 and 5 are
May I
admitted.
publish to the jury, Your Honor?
Yes.
Now, you didn't see Anthony like remove any of his clothing or see some of the other injuries he may have had. Is that fair to say?
I didn't see him remove any clothing.
Okay. But it's possible he may have had other injuries that are underneath his clothing that you didn't see. Is that fair to say?
Yes, I'm sure possibly, and he would have probably had a few.
And I'll pass the witness at this time.
Having witness mark C exhibit number 23. Who's that? That's Anthony, correct?
Looks like Anthony.
Right?
It's half his face,
That looks like his face, right?
half his face.
Half his face. Where are the injuries?
His chest, and he covering his stomach. But that's only his front part, could be some of his back, I don't know, or his shoulder.
There's another picture of Anthony, state exhibit number 24. Where's the injuries on his arm? You see some
I
injuries
see
there?
little red marks, but I mean, not like a big injury. His elbow is pretty red,
And you
probably
testified,
from hitting the ground a few
Um,
times.
and you testified earlier that he would have several probably injuries underneath his clothing. So is this what you're talking about?
I said possibly, I mean, I don't know, I didn't see him remove his clothing that night.
Judge, we're off to state exhibit number 23 and 24, tentative defense for any objection.
I have no objection to those exhibits.
All right, states exhibit 23 and 24 are admitted without objection.
Published to the jury, Your Honor.
Yes.
You didn't see many injuries in those photos, did you?
Just marks,
Smart, but injuries.
not like big injuries, but marks. But I mean, I'm not a doctor, I don't know, and I didn't check him that night.
Like for internal injuries, you don't know if there's any internal injuries, right?
I don't know how injured he was. I mean, you would have to ask him, or he would have to get checked out.
But he went to work after this. You saw him for months after this. Is that correct? You testified earlier that you did, so.
For I don't know how long, but he did continue work for a while afterwards. But I don't know. I mean, we mainly only worked 1 day a week, so he might have, had the whole week to feel a little better to come back next Saturday. I don't know. I can't remember exactly if he was there the following Saturday or maybe he missed one. I don't remember exactly.
He
But
wasn't in the hospital for 25 days, was he?
not that I know of, sir.
Okay, thank you. Fast witness, John.
May I approach?
Yes.
Any objection?
No. No objections. I'm sorry. I don't know what the exhibits are.
Judge, we're moving to admit defense exhibits 6, 7, and 8.
Any objections?
No objections, Your Honor.
All right, defense exhibit 6, 7, and 8
And
are
who's the person?
admitted without objection.
I'm sorry, Judge.
No problem.
I gotta let you do your business. I'm sorry. States exhibit 6, who's the person in that person? Or defendants exhibit 6, who's the person in that photograph?
Looks like Anthony.
Okay, and do you see a red mark on his chest?
Yes, and his stomach a little bit.
And the same, it's another version of the same photograph in defense exhibit 7. And I'm gonna show you his leg, and he's lifted up his pant leg. and
His knee
His
or
knee.
something.
You see like a large red mark on his knee.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, may I publish to the jury, Your Honor?
Yes.
And that looks like somebody to you that's been in a fight, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. The people that work at at El Volcan, do you guys have kind of like a uniform that you wear, or do you have like some clothing guidelines that you wear?
We have El Volcan shirts. Well, security has their own uniform, and
Right.
other people have
But
their shirts.
pretty much everyone that works there, all the porters, they wear black shorts. Is that correct?
Um,
I mean, as
usually
far as
they're-
the porters, let me just get to the porters. The porters, what do they wear?
usually they're dressed in black,
Okay.
but I guess depending on if it's the season or whether they'll be in pants or shorts.
Okay. And usually they wear black pants or black shorts.
Usually.
I'll pass the witness. I have nothing further.
No further questions of this witness, Your Honor, but we would like to possible recall.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone except for attorneys for the state of the defense. Make sure you're available if either party wishes to recall you. If you'll remove your microphone, please. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna give you your lunch break now. And I'm gonna have you all back here at 2:15 because I do have some matters to take care of from this morning. Remember my previous instructions about not viewing anything about this trial or discussing anything about, oh, he's like, yeah, we all remember. You all remember my instructions? And you all are following those instructions. All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors.